An experiment on board the satellite Athena-1 goes wrong, turning a rat into a ravenous monster. It kills all of the crew members except Dr. Carrie Atkins and compromises the satellite's full integrity. Claire Wyden, the owner of Athena-1 and CEO of the biotech company Energene, informs Atkins that she will not be let into the escape capsule until she retrieves the other samples of the substance that caused the rat's mutation. She evades the rat monster and departs Athena-1 just before it explodes, with 3 canister samples in tow. However, the scratches the creature left on a glass window of the capsule soon causes it to shatter, killing her and sending the canisters hurtling towards the Earth. In the next scene, we are introduced to our protagonist, Davis Okoye, who is a primatologist working in a wildlife sanctuary, leading 2 students into a gorilla enclosure. He seems to have a close bond with a rare albino western gorilla named George and communicates with him using sign language. At night, one of the samples crash lands in George's habitat and he is exposed to the pathogen gas. The other sample hits a wolf pack, affecting one of them, and the last one lands in a river where a crocodile swallows it. In the morning, Davis rushes to the sanctuary as George has been acting aggressively, killing a grizzly bear. Davis is shocked when he sees George since he has grown massively in size, but he calms the gorilla down and puts him in a cage. We are then introduced to the CEOs of Energene, Brett and his sister Claire. Brett is furious because they lost billions after the incident at the space station, but his sister is unconcerned about the destruction of Athena-1, caring only about the successful mutation. She goes on saying the pathogen samples survived the incident and landed somewhere in the US. She sends hired mercenaries led by Captain Burke to retrieve the samples, but when they get to the scene, the sample shelf is empty and all the wolves are dead, suggesting one of them took the sample. Claire instructs Burke to bring the wolf back to her, either dead or alive. Back at the sanctuary, Davis is contacted by genetic engineer Dr. Kate Caldwell, who explains that the pathogen was developed by Energene to rewrite genes on a massive scale and will enhance the subject in size and aggression and won't stop until he is injected with a cure serum, and that she is the only person who can help George. Suddenly, George gets aggressive again. He breaks his cage and escapes the facility. Davis follows him and tries to calm him down when Homeland Security arrives at the scene, shooting George with tranquilizer guns and put him to sleep. In the next scene, the mercenaries locate the wolf. Burke is shocked by how big the wolf has become. He takes him down with a shot, and they land to retrieve the body. But when they get to the spot, the wolf is still alive and slaughters the mercenaries, one by one. Burke tries to resist, but his bullets don't affect the giant animal, who is now on the size of an elephant. He swallows Burke. Homeland Security arrests Davis and Kate and brings them on board the plane transporting George. There, Special Agent Harvey Russell reveals that Energene fired Kate 2 years ago after she attempted to steal company's hard drives. Davis, with a disappointed face, asks Kate if she can cure George like she promised or not. She assures Davis that Energene's developed a cure for the pathogen, but admits she doesn't have the means to administer one herself. Back at Energene, Claire plans to lure the wolf to Chicago using low-frequency radio waves each mutation is designed to respond to, where the military will kill him and Energene will harvest his DNA. George, still on the plane, will inevitably destroy it, killing Kate and eliminating her as a threat to Energene, since she knows everything about the company's illegal activities. The transmitter is located atop Willis Tower, the tallest building in the city. Claire activates the transmitter. The wolf responds to the signal, so does the crocodile swimming towards Chicago. George responds as well, bursting out of his cage, killing everyone and injuring Russell. The pilot also gets shot and killed, because pilots always die in this way in movies. Davis manages to find parachutes for himself, Kate, and Russell before the plane crashes in a cornfield. But when they get to the wreckage, they find George's footprint heading towards Chicago. As Russell contacts his superiors to come pick them up, Davis explains how he rescued George from the poachers when he was only a baby and that he's been taking care of him ever since. Kate tells Davis about her time with Energene. Initially, her research was meant to help endangered species, then cure her brother's cancer, but once she found out she was also helping Project Rampage create animal weapons, she attempted to destroy it. The two agree to help George and bring down the company. Help arrives and takes them to a military base where Colonel Blake reveals that they are planning to perform an airstrike on George and the wolf. Though Davis explains Energene's plan to the Colonel, he is not interested in their advice. So our protagonists decide to head for Chicago themselves. Russell helps them steal a helicopter, thanking Davis for saving his life back at the airplane. Military's plan to bomb the two gigantic animals fail as they are too strong now and survive the bomb, so the Colonel orders for an evacuation of the city. Davis and Kate witness a citywide evacuation as George and the wolf destroy the military's tanks and helicopters. The situation becomes even worse when the mutated crocodile known as Lizzie emerges from the Chicago River before she joins George and the wolf, causing more destruction. Out of options, Blake authorizes the use of a massive ordnance airburst, which will wipe half of the city. At the Willis Tower, Davis and Kate enter the building to obtain the cure samples. Claire and Brett, preparing to evacuate by helicopter, notice them on a security camera and confront them at gunpoint. Kate covertly pockets one of the samples while giving Claire the other two. Claire shoots Davis in his abdomens, though she misses his vital organs, and takes Kate hostage. As they reach the roof of Willis Tower, the three monsters begin to climb it. George arrives before they can take off, causing Brett to flee as the gorilla disables the helicopter. Davis returns to help Kate administer the serum to George, calling to him as she slips the sample into Claire's purse. George swallows Claire before continuing his attack on the transmitter. On the ground floor, Brett meets Russell, who offers him amnesty in exchange for his laptop, which contains the hard drive of the company. He watches as Brett rushes outside, but he is crushed by falling debris. Willis Tower begins to collapse as the wolf and Lizzie join George. Davis and Kate manage to use the damaged helicopter to hover just above the building as it falls. They climb out and find that George has returned to his normal self. Davis grabs a grenade launcher to help George fight the other two in order to prevent them from doing more destruction, while Kate drives off to search for Russell and call off the airstrike. George battles the wolf while Davis tricks him into flying towards Lizzie, who uses a death roll to throttle the wolf around and decapitates him before she swallows his head. Lizzie turns her attention on Davis and chases him through the city wreckage until George intervenes and attacks her from behind, leaping into the air with a metal bar and drives it through Lizzie's eye before he shoves it deeper into her brain, finally killing the crocodile and saving Davis. Blake sees that George is no longer hostile and aborts the airstrike. In the ending scene, George and Davis, along with Kate and Russell, decide to clear the city of debris caused by the three monsters and evacuate civilians, while they decide which home they should make for George, as he is still a giant gorilla. The end.